The battle for Prospero raged. Leman Russ had been blessed by the blood god, and had ascended to a demon prince, the Red Wolf of Khorne. The beast gripped in its taloned hands perverted versions of his former weapons, a massive axe and long serrated sword, both made from blackened iron and wreathed in warp fire the color of blood. Russ rushed towards his former brother Magnus the Red, hacking at him with his demonic blades, the unholy weaponry clashing against Magnus's own Khopesh blade, sending vast amounts of sparks from the metal like petals of light. Magnus tried to bring his immense psychic might to bear against the beast that used to be Leman Russ, but his powers had no effect. The thick brass collar around the demon's neck nullifying all psychic energy around him. Magnus with his mind's eye saw this, and with a surge of adrenaline pushed the creature back before lunging forward, clasping his hands around the collar. His hands were punctured by the thick metal spikes protruding from it, blood flowing like a river from his hands. But using his preternatural strength, ripped the collar from Russ's neck, shattering the metal, and blasted him back with immense psychic force. Magnus fell to one knee as Leman Russ staggered back to his feet, and with the feral wolfen creatures bounding towards him. Magnus had only one thing left to do. Using the last of his great psychic might, he teleported most of his forces onto a lone battle barge that survived the void battle with the Space Wolves fleet, leaving the Primarch alone with the Custodes against the entire Space Wolves Legion, who were baying for blood. Magnus rose up and gripped his Khopesh tightly. He turned to the golden-clad warriors beside him and let out a single loud cry before charging towards the beast that was no longer his brother. For the Emperor. The Phalanx received a transmission from the Space Wolves Legion. It was a short transmission, displaying the severed heads of Magnus the Red and the Custodes who had died alongside him in battle. Leman Russ then appeared on the screen, displaying his new demonic wolf-like form, smiling with a predator's grin. Rogel Dawn nodded and smiled, recognizing the form Russ now took as similar to one of the godly beings from the warp. Magnus was one of the most dangerous wild cards in this upcoming conflict, and with his removal, the War Master believed he and his forces now held the advantage. He received another transmission from his brother, Rabute Gilliman. The Lord of Ultramar smiled and nodded. Everything was going to plan, and more of their brothers had seen the light of their cause. Rogel Dawn nodded and told his brother to prepare them for war. The Emperor, saddened by the damage suffered to the webway and to the Golden Throne, knew that a powerful Psyker must now sit upon it and use their abilities to prevent a warp tear from engulfing all of Terra. He tried to send a psychic probe to his son, Magnus the Red, but then, for the first time in hundreds of years, felt fear. He could no longer feel his son's presence. His once burning light snuffed out like a dying candle. The Emperor knew something was afoot, and ordered the recall of the Iron Warriors Legion to Terra. The world needed to be reinforced for the upcoming conflict. Little did he know how soon said conflict would come.